All right, we are now live on YouTube, starting us up on Rumble. And where is this thing? Get this educational music going. All right, good morning, hello, and welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. This show is about what happened today throughout the annals of recorded history. Join us as we delve into yesteryear, not only for interesting and important happenings, but to possibly even answer questions you do not know you have. The sources of our information come from the website allthisday.com and the smart device applications Historical Calendar and Today in History. For links to these sources and anything else potentially interesting, please check the underbar of the description below. And as usual, all links gathered throughout the show will appear post-live stream. Anyway, I am Xander, and who am I joined by?
King's Refuge.
And we have Darth Hideous in the live studio audience, and the Golden Loon will be joining us sooner rather than later, hopefully. Actually, give me 1 minute. I'm going to yell at him really quick. We're live! Alright, anyway. And hey, we have King's Refuge on the camera. My camera is once again not working. But anyway, and of course, you viewer are you. Today is Sun's Day, aka Sunday, June 16th, 2024. Happy Father's Day!
Happy Father's Day!
Happy Father's Day! Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Shout out to all the dads out there.
Yeah, well, and to all the people with dads, alive or dead, which is everybody in the entire world has a dad. So happy Father's Day to everyone, whether or not you're even watching the show.
Everybody has a father, not everybody has a dad.
True.
I'll give you that one right there.
True,
I know a lot of people who grew up not knowing their father, so how could their father be a dad to them? That's kind of a problematic scenario in and of itself.
Yeah, I kind of have the same thing. I view father as the biological term, for the person, but then the dad is the one who raised you. So I was adopted by my grandparents, grandma and granddad. So my granddad is my dad, but my birth father is unknown. So. And then you get into the religious talk, only God can be father and all that stuff, yada yada. But anyway, let's jump into the history today, shall we?
Shout out to the father.
Huh?
I mean, shout out to the father, our God above.
Well, yeah, the father of all fathers,
Yeah, big ups.
Yep.
Big ups to the creator of all.
Yep. Anyway, Mr. King, do you want to start us off here in 632?
630. Battle of Persian. Yes, era.
Yeah, the origin of Persian. Yeah. So, interesting. And we got a longer article here.
Oh boy, there's quite a lot of history left out there. 1487, Battle of Schofield, Nottinghamshire. English Tudor King Henry VII defeats the remaining Yorkshire's led by John P. Lafleur and Lord Lovell in the last battle of the War of the First.
Can you get a little closer to your mic? I can hear you fine, but you kind of sound a little echoey at the same time.
Well, now
that's a little better. Yeah.
I'm echoing. I might be picking up my. Hold on.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, but you also sound a little echoey.
I think my webcam.
Yeah.
I might have switched audio to my webcam for a second.
Yeah. Well, anyway, while you're getting that figured out, I'm going to take us up here to 1567. And I also want to say, Darth, if you want to take an article, just let me know. Just speak up if you want to read, and I'll be more than happy to give you a couple. Anyway, 1567, here we have Mary, Queen of Scots, was imprisoned in Lochleven Castle in Scotland. And that was because she and the Queen of England were actually cousins, and there was a rivalry, and the Queen of England, to my knowledge, was being the main antagonist and just doing everything she could to squelch any possibility of her cousin claiming the throne. Because there was a whole thing between Scotland and England. I got to see that movie, Mary, Queen of Scots. It came out, relatively recently, 2016 or something, 2017. So that's something else we got to watch on movie nights. KR is Mary Queen of Scots. I saw the first little bit of it, and it's a little boring, but it's more of a historical picture more than something for entertainment. So
Hey, were you still playing background music?
I should be. Oh wait, I haven't
I
been.
don't.
Wait.
Let's say I don't hear it.
Oh, now I
There you
am.
go. Now I hear
Yeah,
it.
let me revert it back to here. So there we go. Whoopsies.
All right, how's sound on my end?
A little bit better. Like say a sentence.
A sentence.
Yeah, that's legible. Audible, legible, I guess.
Audible.
Yeah.
Audible.
Audible? Am I audible? They project more like this?
Well, there's just
even
like
better.
an echoey, and I think it's the acoustics really is like the room is
Yeah.
just big and everything, so there's nothing you can do about it. It's the same problem I
Yeah.
have. Like neither of us
need-
have like
I
soundproof
need those
studios or anything.
fancy black square things.
Yeah. Anyway, what do we got here in 1624?
1624, Virginia becomes an English crown colony following the bankruptcy of the London Company.
Huh.
Womp
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
They lost me one.
Yep. Ooh, here we go.
1779, Spain declares war on Great Britain in support of France and of the USA, starting the Great Siege of Gibraltar, which goes on to the last 3 years, 7 months, 2 weeks.
Wow.
Gibraltar, but
Yeah.
not to be overly critical or technical.
Oh no, please feel free to correct me.
The Rock of Gibraltar is another story in and of itself, but that is Gibraltar, not Gibraltar.
Yeah. Well.
That's
Yeah.
all
Well,
about
like
ignorant.
we're like I had no idea that the siege of Gibraltar had anything to do with the American Revolution. That's
No, I didn't know that either.
yeah. That is interesting.
Especially since this happened in 1779, we were well into
the Revolution.
the American Revolution at that time. Like, because that started in 1776, as everybody knows, but it did carry on for years. And that is something people seem to miss about the American Revolution is that didn't happen in a day. We
No,
didn't just
well,
build
see-
this overnight.
Well, like the same could be said
We
about
fought
the
the British
creation of
for
the United
years.
States. Like it took like about a decade for us to like figure out what we were gonna be after the fact. But to stay on the same subject that you're saying here, like what was going on with the revolution is at least in the beginning and everything for the first several years, it was the biggest and most powerful empire and military and naval force the world had
it was
ever
the British
seen.
Empire at the time.
Versus
They were
like
the world superpower.
versus like just a ragtag group that eventually invented guerrilla warfare.
I mean, they didn't invent guerrilla warfare because we learned guerrilla warfare from the natives.
Yeah, true.
The Native Americans
True.
kind
Very
of
true.
like showed us why our conventional warfare was very inferior in tactical concept. But even like if you look back all the way to the art of war, Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu spoke on guerrilla tactics thousands of years before the American Empire ever even thought of being a thing. So, like,
Yeah.
the guerrilla warfare was a thing for a long, long time, but it is kind of a terrain-based fighting style.
Yeah.
Like, if you have...
Hey.
Oh, the art of war. There we go. That is definitely
Bring that back up.
an
Bring that back
addition.
up, please. I biggered the camera, so yeah, the art of war, nice. But yeah, no, I 100% agree. You're right, Darth. But like to go back to like what I was saying, what the reason why like we were still fighting in 1779, 3 years later, is because the European powers like France and then right here later Spain, even joined our side, is because they were waiting until like to see what was going to happen of this war.
Yeah,
and when it
of
became
course.
apparent that the British were dumping a lot and spending so much time into this, then the enemies of Britain, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, starting with France,
Right.
they're like, oh, hey, we're going to go help them out because
Well, the
like,
French were with us since day one, and a lot of people
Yes.
don't know that. It's like, if it was not for the French at the time, America wouldn't be what it is today. We would still be like Canada. We'd be way more like Canada or Australia than we are our own thing.
well, you're
the
100%
French
right.
backed us.
Like Rochambeau did come over and like, unofficially they were with us, yes. But as a nation, like on the official stage, they didn't really make a move
Yeah.
until like later on, and that's when they, sent their ships over and the siege of Yorktown happened and all that stuff,
Oh,
yada
yeah.
yada. But like
Right.
Spain, as well was like like a European empire. The big three. There's Britain, the
The
United
French,
Kingdom,
the French,
France,
and
Spain,
the
Germany.
British at the time.
So,
Yeah, big
yeah.
three.
So like then they were all like allying with this new budding nation trying to form, because it was against the British who had subjugated everybody or had ruled over
Right.
them or like one way or another like owned them, like so yeah.
Brits did a really good job of shitting on people, and I am convinced that we made it a fight with the French, but if the Spanish hadn't gotten in when they did, I still am not certain that we would have won our independence. So shout out to the Spanish
Yeah.
for like showing up when they did and literally tilting the scales so heavily in our favor that there was no way we could lose at that point. Like,
Well,
that
see,
was
because,
the,
like,
that was the key maker.
Not only are
for
they
the American
coming and helping
independence
us
movement.
overseas, but because they're like basically right next door to Britain as well, now Britain
Right.
has to refocus their efforts and their
You
resources.
have to stay home.
You
can't
they're,
come
they're
over
fighting
here
a
because
war
you have to
already
stay
3,000
home.
miles away over the ocean. Now they have to come back home, and they have problems with France. They have problems with Spain. Spain opened a new front with the siege of Gibraltar. That's why Britain lost, is not because we're so star-spangled awesome, but because they were just stretched so thin everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But as much as I'd love to continue talking, we have like a lot of history here to cover. So let's move on up here. Here's an interesting one though. In 1784, Holland forbade the wearing of orange clothes, which is doubly unfortunate that my webcam isn't working because my overshirt is kind of a shade of orange or peach, I guess. Orange is peach. I don't know. And I'm wearing my shirt, my history shirt that I had made by some former friends of mine. But the reason why is on this day in 1784, Holland banned the wearing of orange clothing because patriot provinces of the Netherlands wanted to prevent a rebellion from a popular movement whose supporters wore orange ribbons and neckties. So in order to stop the spread of civil disobedience and dissidents and all that stuff, they straight up prevented like through the law wearing of any types of, which is like so fascist. Like,
I mean, they're trying to do that in America right now. I'm sorry, this is a side tangent, but the U.S. government and the Canadian government are simultaneously trying to pull colors off of 1% motorcycle clubs. The outlaw motorcycle clubs, they're trying to declare their colors and their rockers, as you would, as illegal gang colors.
what?
So that's where this stems from. That's where this concept stems from, is all the way back to this. And they're still doing that shit to this day. They declared the Juggalos. You know ICP?
Yeah, I know about Juggalo. I was kind of a Juggalo.
They
at one point in my
declared
life.
the Hatchet Man a federal gang symbol.
Oh my god.
Like, fuck out of here. What? Like ICP? A gang?
Huh.
No.
Yep.
Silly government. And that's what this is. So yeah, my bad tangenting hard, but it is still relevant. Like, this shit
It is
does
relevant.
not just stop.
Yes.
This shit just like continues on and on and on. And it just, you can see it today. The same type of behavior.
Hopefully I didn't screw anything up
Continue.
because my other monitor died, so I'm trying to reset it here. Yeah, that'll work. Is my stuff still broadcasting? Yes, good. So, is this still broadcasting? Let me double check on this here.
Stream's still live.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So it is good. No, we're still, I'm just making sure on all fronts, like on the live stream, that everything's all right. Because, like, I'm trying to find, right now, like, because I have a picture, my parents, well, my parent now, because, I'm down to one, unfortunately, but they are in the plating industry, and, like one of the pieces I saw. It's this Hatchet Man necklace, which I still have. I'm trying to find the picture of it on my other screen here, really quick. But it was like this limited edition Hatchet Man emblem that was like for some kind of contest or whatever, and like I wanted one because at the time, like I had just learned, or like not too long prior to it, learned about ICP through Metalocalypse. You remember the show Metalocalypse and everything?
Yes.
Like I just randomly one day I was asking like is there like a real world equivalent to Metalocalypse, and you know somebody said, well, you know there's this one band called Insane Clown Posse whose fan base would be as crazy, you know, as the fans of Death Clock from Metalocalypse. You know, they would willingly go into like life-threatening and endangering situations just to listen to the music, and like wind up with injuries. And actually, here I just found
Juggalos have no chill. Yes,
yeah,
that is
here
the
it
fact.
I found it here. This is what I have. So this is my pendant. If you can see it, if you're watching my share screen.
Oh, that is a fire hatchet, man.
Yeah.
Gold encrusted.
That's not golden crushes. That's it. That's dimpled. It's flat on one side and it's dimpled on the other. But like this is this is apparently, you know, from what I've researched and everything, it's a limited edition Hatchet Man like necklace pendant.
It is because the either that or you have it upside down, because the Hatchet Man that I'm aware of always has the hatchet facing the other way, you know? So every Hatchet Man I've seen has been reversed of that.
Yeah, well, as I said,
I've
the other side is smooth. So I just took a picture of the dimpled side.
Right.
So.
Right.
But yeah.
Which is why that might be actually special edition, because the Hatchet Man's usually running to the right, specifically, not to the left.
Oh, here's
which
another
is weird.
picture of it.
If you think about the symbolism of running to the right versus running to the left politically.
Yeah.
Because you know the truth about ICP, right?
Yeah, they're a Christian, like.
Yes,
you know,
they're a Christian group.
Yeah.
They were inner city posse before they were Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, well, that's what all the Joker cards were. They were all like, you know, different things about the Bible, and they said everything in thy unveiling. Truth is, we follow God. We've always been behind him. The carnival of carnage. You know, however the lyrics go.
May all juggalos find them.
Find them. Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, which is wild because of all the hate that has come up on ICP over the years. It's just like, yeah, there's a reason they're hated on, and it's not because they're bad people, because there are like the Bloods, the Crips, like there are bad groups.
They're hardcore.
Yeah, but these people followed Christ and Christianity, and that is why they were demonized by the federal government, like, because they were very, very worried about millions and millions of juggalos showing up on their doorstep one day.
Huh.
And they should still be worried.
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, the juggalo movement has become much quieter than it was in the 90s, early 2000s. They didn't go away. It did not go away. But, man, we're on this day in history, and we are way off in the weeds. Now, I knew that would happen if I came in here.
Well, that's fine, actually. Like, I'm already thinking, like, you know, this is a great way to do the show, and like, I'm already, like, you know, gonna pass over this article here. I kind of want to move up here to 1815, if that's all right, to potentially start another conversation tangent. But, KR, do you want to read this?
1815, Battle of Poitiers Bras took Duke of Wellington's English forces engaged the French in preliminary battle 2 days before the Battle of Waterloo.
And I think this next one here, as well, it's a tie-in. So let me edit my script here really quick. But would you care to read the Napoleon one as well?
1858, under Napoleon defeats Prussia in Battle of Ligny, Napoleon's last military victory.
Yeah, so it says right here, 2 days before
Napoleon
Waterloo.
Bonaparte.
Yes.
one of the most powerful and influential men, maybe arguably at this time, 1815, the most powerful man in the world.
Oh yeah, no, I went
Arguably.
off about him the other day, like when we did a history show, we talked about him as well. That we were that the first, second, third, and fourth coalition, maybe even more. The entirety of Europe, whatever Napoleon didn't have, the rest of Europe came together to fight him, not to fight France, to fight him.
Yeah. Napoleon, specifically.
Yeah, like he took over. Like we were talking about his for lack of a better term, puppet government that he was forming in Italy after he conquered them. He conquered Egypt. He was the closest person ever to win a land war against Russia. Nobody has ever gotten to his level.
Ooh, I mean, you are correct, but Genghis Khan, who was a Mongolian, also exists, and he almost conquered all of Russia.
Yeah.
He did almost conquer the entire, Asian continent landmass in his time. Like, if you look at the Roman Empire at its peak versus the Mongolian Empire under Genghis Khan, the amount of territory controlled is... the Romans look very bad.
Close. It's very close.
Yeah, but Genghis Khan, man, that guy, woo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Genghis Khan killed so many people.
He was Napoleon of his time.
Genghis Khan killed so 100%. Many people, he actually changed the Earth's climate. There are so many less people farting and consuming and producing waste because of him that it drastically it altered the planet. And then he also produced a lot of people.
If he kept going, he would have thrown us back into another ice age.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know the exact ratio, but it was 1 in 3 Asians. It doesn't matter if you're Chinese, Japanese, Filipino.
1 in 3 Asians, 1 in 8 people worldwide.
Yeah. So 1 in 8 people worldwide.
A blood descendant of Genghis Khan.
So everybody on this earth has a 12.5% chance of being bloodline related to Genghis Khan. That is pretty significant.
And if you're not bloodline related to Genghis Khan, you have a 1 in 3 chance of knowing someone who is.
Yeah, that is amazing.
That is wild as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see here. Let me skip over that. 1836 here. This is interesting. KR, do you want to read? So yeah, I'm thinking this is what we're going to have. KR is going to read, and then Darth and I are going to banter. KR can banter if he wants. But anyway, go ahead.
All right. You guys know more history than I do, so I'll put my input where I can. 1836. London Workingmen Association forms.
Now, are those gigolos? Not to be confused with juggalos, but working men's. You think of working women, you think of prostitutes. So are these male prostitutes? Yeah. Is this
I mean, this is either the proletariat or it is the coalition of gigolos. Either way, it can't be good.
Let's see. It was one of the foundations of Chartism, advocating for universal men's suffrage, equally populated electoral districts, the abolition of property
qualifications. Okay, so this is the proletariat of England.
Ah.
This is basically the Democratic Socialist Party in Germany, proletariat in Russia. This is the communists popping up in history, because that's what communists do. They just pop up. So if this is the union, this is the birth of the unions, bro.
Yeah, but some of these are things I support, the right to vote.
Right.
So
I generally think
right here.
I mean,
they were associated with
ideally speaking, votes shouldn't be necessary, because everyone should just have a good understanding of what's fair. You shouldn't need to vote at all on what's fair if you understand what's fair. The problem with that is
now you're
there
giving
are a bunch of people who don't benefit from what's fair that are going to be mad about it. It's a whole... so suffrage in general, I think, should be very, very restricted to the people who are responsible for what is going on. Like, say we're about to go to war. We're not going to bring any women, but we are going to try to bring as many fighting men as we can. We should have the fighting men that are fit have a say on whether we go to this war. The men who are unfit, the old, the young, the people who are not going to go fight, the unfit people, should not have a say on whether we go to this war. Women should not have a say at all whether we go to this war. It should be just the people that are responsible. And I hold that suffrage concept of whoever's responsible should have a say all the way down the line of all voting entirely. And that's generally really a good baseline. Like, it's not perfect, nothing's perfect, but if you're not actually going to be responsible for doing the thing, you shouldn't have a say in it at all. And I could expand this out on an entire 4-part show just about, like, the tax code and the welfare programs and people voting themselves other people's money who have no skin in the game because they don't have any money. They want to vote for other people's money, and the government promises to hold a gun to these people's heads to make them pay that money. That's problematic as fuck, and that is why the communists always destroy everything. Just saying.
Yeah.
Are we on YouTube?
Yes.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I know you on Rumble, dude. I didn't know you had a YouTube channel. Or
Oh, yeah.
I might not have spoke so freely.
Well, that's a really
Son of a-
really sad thing to say, but yeah, I
Yeah, it
understand.
It is true.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate
It's
statement.
sad, but true.
Yeah, very true. So, like, from now on, let's just take it easy because we are on YouTube. But, I 100%
I'm gonna
agree
chill
with
out.
you. So,
Yeah.
but,
I mean, it's...
but yeah, I just want to read this really quick, but then I want KR to read 1882 after that. So, like, we have 1879, W.S. Gilbert and Arthur Sullivan's comic opera HMS Pinafore debuted at Bowery Theater in New York City. So we all know about HMS Pinafore. Like, yeah, like, Sideshow Bob saying it to Bart in that one episode of Simpsons. But anyway,
Yeah.
KR, what happened here in Iowa?
Oh. That's near me, Dubuque, sweet. 1882, 17-inch hailstones weighing 1.75 pounds fall in Dubuque, Iowa.
Dude, that'll, like, atomize people. Like,
That's going to split you in half.
yeah, like, where do you
100%.
hide in that? Like, you can't hide in your house. It'll just come through. They'll go through a steel car like a knife through butter. Like, what the... Like, how do you hide
If
from
you're
that?
not living in a cave in the side of a mountain, there is a way greater than 0% chance that you're going to get fucked by one of those.
Yeah. Like, 17
And
inches, that's bigger
the
than
amount
a
of
foot.
property destruction that they're going to do?
Like,
I mean, 17-inch hailstones weighing a pound, almost 2 pounds.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pound and
That's
3/4. Like, that
That's coming down at, like, like...
terminal velocity.
Yeah, I don't know what terminal velocity of a 17-inch hailstone weighing 1.75
I'm
pounds
fairly
is.
certain
but I'm
terminal
pretty sure it's,
velocity
like,
is the same
beyond
for
lethal.
everything. I'm pretty sure terminal velocity is the same for everything, and it's something around 886 feet per second.
No, well,
That's
yeah.
going to crush anything.
Yeah, you're right, because everything at some terminal velocity, everything falls at the same speed. If you drop a feather,
Yes.
like, and a brick, now the
And
feather
you drop
will...
a brick, they're going to hit the ground at the same speed.
Well, a feather is a bad thing because, like, it'll catch the air currents and...
Because of
but,
the
like,
resistance,
if
yes.
you drop a penny in a brick is a better
Yes.
comparison.
Yeah, that is a way better because of the lack of, like, atmospheric resistance. But yeah, they're both still going to hit the ground at 886 feet per second, and that is enough to punch a hole through almost anything. Solid stone is probably Like, if you're not living in the cave in the side of the mountain,
Or a bunker.
nothing we had developed at this time is going to protect you.
Yeah. I wonder how many people died. Like. Oh.
You can look it up.
I mean, it's Dubuque, Iowa. So, not too
Yeah.
many people could have died.
Let's
Because
see
it's
here.
Dubuque, Iowa.
Let's
What's
see if
happening,
anything happens.
Late 1800s.
Let's see
Yeah.
here. If this is okay.
How many people live in Iowa today? Like, look at the population of Dubuque today. Like, how many people could have died? Like, the amount of property damage and infrastructure damage is probably atrocious because that could destroy the bridges they had in their time. They didn't have
There you go.
big steel suspension bridges.
1882. Second to last.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, but this doesn't tell me the death toll.
No. Like, because that probably destroyed more property, making it, like, impossible to travel versus, like, actually killing people.
18.
But that isn't, like, an event we haven't seen the likes of since. Like,
Yeah, I'm wondering when
I
the next
saw
one's gonna
2-inch
be.
hailstones fall in Texas, like, 2 years ago, and it destroyed a lot of their, like, wind farms and shit, their solar panels, all the shit that the communists in Texas were trying to do for like renewable energy just was destroyed by a cold front with 2-inch hail. And that's like what, like probably 14 ounces. A 14-ounce hailstone does just as much damage as a almost 2-pound hailstone because it's still falling at the same rate of speed and it's still going to hit everything just as hard.
You're gonna die no matter what. Like, just.
You don't want to be out of that.
Yeah.
Like, no, not at all.
No.
Either of those things. Like, I've been hit by half-inch hail before.
Ah!
Literally hit by half-inch hailstones. That is painful.
Like, did it.
It's tolerable.
Did it break skin? Did you break any bones? Like.
Yeah, no, I didn't break any bones. I did get a couple of cuts on my face from getting hit by
man.
somewhere, like right across my cheekbone where the skin is thinnest. I got a couple of minor cuts, but like it sucks because they're pounding on you when they're that small. Like,
Yeah, it's pelts.
when
It's
hailstones
like a
come down
shotgun.
and they're 17 inches, they're landing like a bombing run, you know?
Yeah, I was
But
thinking
this is
like,
like literally
God's carpet
getting like
bombing.
shotgun spray.
Yeah. Yeah, it's less of a
they're
shotgun,
hitting
more of an artillery
way-
barrage.
Exactly, absolutely.
But anyway, like let's move on up here.
Hold on, just.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't mean to say this on a tangent, but as I was looking up, the death toll for Dubuque, Iowa, and I came across another story that is just all over the page, and that is the day live frogs were embedded in these hailstones. Same year, 1882.
Live frog. Can you send me the link so I can have it up on my screen here?
Yeah.
Live frogs.
Live.
Live frogs.
So somehow they got sucked up into the clouds. Was a tornado must have been involved or something. Because I've heard of stories of like fish falling from the sky, and that was after like a hurricane pulled them out of the ocean. So like events like Sharknado
throw
are
them on
not
the
too
land.
out of scientific possibility. But
there are no oceans anywhere near Dubuque, Iowa, so yeah, they would have to have been pulled up by like a series of tornadoes, I would think, like multiple spawning in a tornado, because Dubuque, Iowa is right at the peak of the U.S. of Tornado Alley that goes down.
how
all the
far
way to
away are they
Texas.
from the Great Lakes and from any like major rivers or any other lakes?
The Great Lakes, I think Dubuque, Iowa, from Lake Michigan, which is the closest one to it, is probably, and this is just guesstimating, I'd estimate somewhere in the range of 500 to 700 miles.
That's not far.
It's not far, no. Not in
Daylight
atmospheric terms.
Fell-
Like,
What the hell?
it's a long walk, but you could drive it in a day. I could drive from here in Michigan to Dubuque, Iowa in a very long day because it would be probably like 900 miles for me to go from here to there.
Now hold on a
I
second.
could do it
Time
in a
out.
day.
This happened on the same time. This is June 16th, 1882. We were just talking about this. So this coincided with the hailstones.
This is the same event.
What the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah.
What the absolute hell?
You know how you're always like, man, they leave out so much.
Yeah. Like
How
this,
can you leave this out? Dogs literally
are
fell in the fucking
17
sky.
These are 17-inch across.
And they are just like, it held one day. It held one day. That's it. That's the end of the story.
So
Like,
to say
no.
tornadoes, to say a massive tornadoes weren't involved in the same storm front would just be wild as fuck to be like, no, that's not possible. Absolutely, it is possible for it to be cold enough versus hot enough for a bunch of tornadoes to throw a bunch of frogs into the sky and them to get caught up in 17-inch hailstones.
That's nuts.
and now like I'm gonna make some weird like comparison, between Alex Jones and raining frogs. It's raining frogs, hallelujah! It's raining frogs. Like it's raining men and all the frogs are gay. I'm stupid. But wow, dude, like good find, KR. Like, so the hail
wild.
and the frogs, like at the same
That's
time.
crazy.
The hail frogs.
The hail frogs.
Hail frog.
Hail frog. But anyway, like we have a lot more history to go through.
yeah.
Yep.
And I'm trying to skip over a lot of things here, but we have a couple things back to back. If I may read these really quick. 1884, America's first purpose-built roller coaster ride, the Switchback Railway, opened at Coney Island, New York, built by Lamarcus Thompson. So that's really interesting for anybody who's interested in coasters. I used to be a coaster enthusiast as a kid. So
Used to be.
It was a wild coaster head, and being where I'm at in Michigan, the pinnacle of roller coasters when I was a kid, Cedar Point, right?
yeah, I've heard of Cedar Point. Yeah,
In Sandusky, Ohio.
yeah.
That is still probably the best. If you could go to one amusement park for roller coasters, it would be Cedar Point. Like, globally speaking.
Yeah.
So
And
yes,
you had
that's-
the
that's,
ability, because Cedar Point, I agree with you purely on the historical aspect. Now, if you're really a thrill seeker, I would say, go to Six Flags in Texas or Six Flags out here in California. But, like, for both the thrills and the historical, Cedar Point, yes, I agree with you. Like, because, that was really where it like, got its big shebang. So,
They still have 4 of the top 20 roller coasters in the world to this
nice.
day.
That's really nice.
There are better coasters in other places, but to just get your bang for your buck, if you could only go to one place, that's the place you should go.
Yes.
For all the reasons.
Yes. That's why I said if you have the ability and you want the thrills, go to these other places as well.
Yeah.
But Cedar Point first
hit
and
'em all.
foremost. Cedar Point first and foremost, definitely. Now I have something else I
Absolutely.
want to go to on my bucket list. I got to go to Cedar Point. So,
You do.
yeah. But anyway, moving on up here to 1893, German-American F.W. Ruckenheim introduced Cracker Jack brand snack food consisting of caramel-coated popcorn and peanuts. It's still around today. And they still give you...
Well,
yeah.
I don't know, but remember the CEO,
What do you mean?
the Cracker Jack?
What?
Remember that story? Recent story? She kind of
No.
was like, oh, they're irrelevant. And then she quit. And now, like, they're all like, what
Are
do
you
we
sure
do?
you're not talking about Cracker Barrel?
Is it? Was it Cracker Barrel?
Cracker Barrel is
I thought it was
going
Cracker
to shit. Yeah. I know Cracker Barrel is going to shit.
I know,
It was one.
but I don't know anyone
I
who
might
still
be
eats
confused.
Cracker Jacks. So both of these things might be becoming culturally irrelevant at the same time.
Huh.
True.
That would be
Yeah,
sad
yeah.
if it were Cracker Barrel, because Cracker Barrel is actually, fun fact, the largest restaurant chain owned by Native Americans in the United States.
Huh. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. But I
They're
think it
not
is
owned
Cracker
by,
Barrel.
founded by Native Americans. I don't think they're owned by Native Americans. I think they went public, and now they're mostly owned by like BlackRock and Vanguard, which owns most of every big thing that exists in the world. But that's another story
It says
entirely.
here.
But no, they were founded by Native Americans. Like that's a Native American restaurant, and a lot of what they make is like stuff we just consider modern Americana. Not to
Well,
us
that's
by
Cracker
them.
Barrel. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, like what you were saying, King, I think it is Cracker Barrel because I looked up news.
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel
Yeah.
is in battle for relevancy. Cracker Barrel's CEO says company is no longer relevant. So,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the story.
but yeah, like I did hear like maybe you're right about Cracker Jack as well, but like I know for sure Cracker Barrel is having problems. But that really
Yeah.
is
Okay.
that's depressing, dude. That Native American thing is going under. Like those people have really gotten screwed over a lot. So.
Yeah. We've actually adopted most of their culture though, and we've bred a lot of their bloodlines into ours, so they live on.
Yeah.
I mean, species go extinct, cultures go extinct all the time.
Nothing
like,
lasts
it
forever.
sucks for that culture, but I'm not a preservationist.
Yeah.
I'm a progressive in the context of like moving forward for the betterment of humanity. But I'm not a full progressive because I do believe that like progress for the sake of progress should be like not prohibited, but at least considered against because
We want to progress, but we want to do it right. We don't want to
Yeah,
just blindly go into something
we want to balance
with a hope
we
and a
want to
prayer,
balance,
because
for
the path
sure.
to hell is paved on good intentions. We want to do things smart,
yeah.
concisely, and do it right. But before we continue, I want to say, hey, Jacob Castro, how you doing? He's saying, sup,
Castro
savages.
in the house.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah, you know Castro. That's right.
Wait. Castro's a homie of mine for a long time.
Yeah. No, he's been a cool friend of mine too. Like he goes and he does live research, and answers a lot of questions and whatnot, that we ask. And Castro's a cool guy. I'm really happy to have met him, and looking forward to him being around as long as possible. So. But speaking
There are
of
two people that
go ahead.
I need to actually like figure out how to do a show with from my audience, and you know them both probably as well. Mike Gohagen and Jacob Castro are two people I need to like sit down and actually do like a heart to heart like maybe series of shows like discussing certain topics and ideas because those two gentlemen are absolutely
Incredible.
A-level brilliant.
Yeah, they're incredible. So, but speaking of fire and hot stuff, in 1896, temperature hit 127 degrees Fahrenheit at Fort Mojave, California. Woo, that's hot.
People are spontaneous
I mean,
combustion.
Just bursting into flames.
Also Fort Mojave.
Yeah, in the Mojave Desert, of course. So,
Yeah, of course.
That's
Like,
nuts.
which not
I mean, that's not far from Death Valley at all.
no, I can drive
you
to
look-
Death Valley in just a few hours. I'm not that far. So,
Oh, you're out on the West Coast?
yeah, I'm
Oh, yeah, that's
I'm
why
down
you
in the
told
greater
me
LA
show
area in
times and Pacific
California.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's not super unrealistic in that area. Like, if that happened here in West Lower Michigan,
Oh, that's
that would
very
be
unusual.
insane.
That would be like
That would be
into
insane.
the world level stuff. Like we have.
People would be dying because of the humidity.
Oh yeah.
Would be like 94% with 127 degrees. Like, if you go outside, you will die.
Well,
like,
if it's 127
you won't swim
degrees
through the
over
air.
there, then there's some kind of world-ending event happening because that is so not natural. Like
no.
so.
I'm looking at one of the hottest weeks of my life coming up next week. It's supposed to be 95 on Monday, and it's supposed to be 92 on Friday, and it's supposed to be nothing less than any of that in all the days between. So that's unusually hot for where I live in Michigan. 127 degrees, like that's unnatural. That's not heard of. Like I've seen the hottest that I can remember in my recorded life of living here is like 105. I've never seen anything like 127.
Uh,
But I've seen on the map that Death Valley, California gets like 111 on a fairly reliable basis at certain times of the year. It gets to be about that hot. So 127 doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility.
well, I mean, Death
You know
Valley
what
is
I mean?
called Death Valley for a reason. You know, it's not called
Yeah.
Cotton Candy Valley. So, like,
But
'cause people
Mojave
die.
Air Force Base is not the Mojave base is not far from Death Valley. Like it's hot down there. That's just what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Whew.
But anyway, speaking of even more hot things, kind of, sort of, you know, thinking about, like, what happened in Lahaina and Maui and all that stuff. But 1897, a treaty annexing the Republic of Hawaii to the United States was signed. The Republic would not be dissolved until a year later. And, you know, the horrible things that we did to get that land was just disgusting. Like, we played every dirty trick in the book. And, like, we had King Kamehameha II and all that stuff sign a document basically surrendering all of his royalty and all of his power because he didn't know how to read English. He got bamboozled and he got screwed, you know? Like, yeah.
Welcome to the building of empires, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
throughout all history.
Yeah, but what's
this is a horrible thing. It's not new though.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's still horrible. You know, it doesn't matter if it's new or old or what. It's, you know, bad is bad. But, like, what's interesting, though, about Hawaii is that, you know, and we spoke about this off and on, you know, past episodes of the show, but my dad, the Golden Loon, he was born in 1946. He was around and remembers when Hawaii and Alaska became states. Could you imagine, like, being around when there was only 48 stars on the flag? Like, he's seen history. And we might actually
That was
see
like,
even more history, you know,
59,
when
right?
the greater Idaho, you know, becomes into a thing. That's gaining some real momentum here.
Is it still actually gaining momentum? Because last
Oh,
time
yeah.
I knew about the Greater Idaho movement, it had stalled out.
Well, it did stall out for a little bit, but especially with, you know, election season, like, literally just months away, like all
Yeah.
these people in the west of in western Oregon, like, they're not getting the
Western
representation
Oregon
at all in
and,
Oregon. So they're just like, screw
Not
it,
just
we're
Oregon,
gonna go
but
over here.
Washington jumped in too, right?
I think mostly it's Oregon, but maybe some counties in Washington as well. But mostly, if not all, it's Oregon trying to merge into Idaho or make their own 51st state as Greater Idaho. Don't forget that whole area, Lincoln. You know, like they want to make they want to make the, you know, the Lincoln state and all that stuff. Like, you know, there's a lot of unofficial states spotted throughout, you know, the United States. So, yeah.
The Lincoln state is West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, or Virginia, one of those two.
I don't know, but also, but what's it
Yeah,
called?
the Greater Idaho movement I was following for a lot of its heyday, and then when it started just like I said, stalling out because, well, the states are not just gonna let their territory go. Like that's tax
Yeah.
base, and we're not giving that money up without a fight. Like we're not just gonna let you go become your own thing because we benefit from your existence.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we continue
Problematic,
on,
which
go ahead.
is why we can't have a peaceful civil divorce because we're all interdependent.
Yeah.
The system is interdependent on all of its control of the territory, so it's not going to let it go without a fight.
Yeah, speaking of not letting things go without fights and whatnot, we have a couple company formations here, King.
In 1903, the Pepsi Cola Company formed.
And
In 1903, Ford Motors and Henry Ford Incorporated. Honor Henry Ford Incorporated.
so Ford Motors and PepsiCo share a birthday, and they're exactly the same dates. So they're one-on-one. They're twins, essentially.
Father's Day.
Yeah, on Father's Day.
Nice.
Huh?
Speaking of which, I'm going to yell at the loon really quick, so I'll be right back.
I'm not going to lie.
Yo, Dad, you coming up?
Cocaine-fueled soda
You coming up?
and the internal combustion engine did a lot to
I
actually
know.
turn this country from a ragtag bunch of colonies into what became the predominant superpower of the world for a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are all high on coke.
Yeah. Yeah. Or don't you
I
mean
mean,
Pepsi?
we have cocaine and gasoline, like, so that's
Well,
what I'm
let me
talking
tell my
about.
signature
Take your
joke.
gasoline.
Let me tell my signature joke here, okay? I tried Coke, but the ice cube got caught in the straw. I tried it again, but it turned out to be Pepsi. That's why I went to weed, never looked back. Yeah, we've finally been joined by the Golden Loon.
Oh, thank you.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much.
Happy
Yeah.
Father's Day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we have another 1903 here. Speaking of, things that we've spoken about prior in this episode, King, you want to read this here?
1903 Reichstag.
Can I read this?
elections.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Reichstag,
Go for it.
Reichstag elections with gains for the Social Democratic Party of Germany.
Nazis.
No,
Yes.
this is way before the Nazis.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is pre-World War One.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, this
1903.
is the basis.
This is
right?
what spawned the Democratic Socialist Party of Germany later, which ended up becoming the Nazi Party.
Right.
That's why I said
And
And
that.
this is, yeah,
Yeah.
the birth of the. I mean, this is the most bastardization between like communism and I don't even like. Some say it's fascism is the marriage of capitalism and communism, but it's really more the bastardism of communism and like monarchism, feudalism, if you will, which is literally the worst of both worlds.
Yeah. I'm skipping over a lot of interesting things just for the sake of time here, but I want to talk about this for a second as well. If anybody wants to read this, King.
1913 South African government passes Segregationist Native Land Act, which restricts purchase or lease of land by Native Americans.
Africans. This is part of the apartheid, or at
Native
least what
Africans.
built up to. Yeah, basically in South Africa,
Oh,
controlled by
the
white
Africans,
people,
I'm sorry.
they're
I
limiting
heard
the
him say
rights of the
Americans.
natives.
I was like, wait,
Yeah,
what are the
my bad.
Americans doing in South Africa?
Yeah. But yeah, no, this is apartheid, or what would become apartheid. I'm not sure when apartheid started, but it was not too long after this. Like, I remember it was in the early 1900s, some point. So, but can you imagine like the gall? And we, they did this in Australia with the Aborigines too. We did this, with the
Sure.
Native American, like always the conquerors over the conquered. But like, in their own freaking land though, like that is just such a kick in the teeth.
Well, that's the whole point. The whites immigrated to South Africa and brought a lot of wealth with them and captured power with a very small minority. And it went galactic. It's just horrible. I mean, the lengths they went to control
Europe
power.
has a very storied history of doing that. Like, if you look at the entire, not just the South American, but the North American continent as
Oh,
well.
of course.
Oh yeah,
And then, like, a lot of Africa also, like, we had a very storied history of, like, conquering shit and fucking over all the native people who had no idea what we were doing.
yeah,
That's kind of how history works, though. Like,
Yeah.
whoever has the power goes and takes it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how nature works. Like, it's eat or be eaten.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest.
Survival
Yeah.
of the sickest.
Yeah.
But we did it in this country too, like you just said.
Yeah, well, no
It-
country is
yeah.
without doing this. Like,
Yeah.
there's always a conquered. So, but let's see here. What else do we got? 1922. This was pretty interesting here.
1922 Henry Berliner demonstrates his helicopter to the U.S. Bureau of Aeronautics.
The helicopter. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else? Oh yeah, we have an off script, our off main source one here. You have the script up, right, King?
What year is it?
1923, the one with the exclamation point.
1923. Sun Yat-sen founds Chinese military academy.
I thought that was interesting. So. Let's see here. India, African Affair. I'm trying to find, like things that'll spark conversations here. 1933. Let me scroll up here. The FDIC.
1933. U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, created.
You have some, the loon here. You work with the FDIC, right?
That sounds like the literal worst Father's Day gift ever. I mean, 20 years before that, we founded the U.S. Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
And the U.S. Federal Reserve is what backs the U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The FDIC is backed by the Reserve.
Yeah, it's just another way for them to squeeze money out. Oh, now you need
existence.
insurance. Oh, gee. Like.
This is really problematic for anyone who wants to be free of governmental control.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1949 actually here. Like I'm trying to be as quick as possible to find something like really interesting things to say, but this is pretty cool here.
All right. Yeah, 1949 gas turbine electric locomotive demonstrated at Erie, Pennsylvania.
Erie.
Yeah.
Electric
Yeah.
locomotive.
Turbine electric. Yeah, gas turbine electric.
Gas
yeah.
turbine electric.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's basically there's a giant generator on wheels,
But a gas generated, still not full electric.
Yeah, but it generates electricity through
Yeah.
the gas.
Yeah.
I mean, like somewhere down the line, something's being burnt, or used to create the power. Like all these people.
Oh yeah, you
all
gotta
these
get
people,
the energy from somewhere.
I mean, all these people who think that they're saving the world by buying a Tesla. No, you're just outsourcing the generation of the electricity. Where does the power come from? From coal or oil or something, nuclear, whatever. Like somewhere down the line, emissions are being made. Just because you're not specifically making them doesn't mean that you're not having a hand in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
I have a plan to beat all emissions.
There you go. Let me hear it.
Here.
What, die?
No, I mean
Yeah.
literally an energy source that creates zero emissions and produces infinite energy. That is why the system won't let me talk about it. I'll tell you
us.
later.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We're not trying
I'll
to
give you a
kill
hint.
them.
I'll give you a hint. It's geothermal in nature.
Ah. All right,
Okay.
I'm down to talk about it, and if you're willing to talk, because let me bring something up here really quick, because you're talking about since we're on YouTube and Rumble and all that stuff, but when we do the talk show, or this can happen with other shows like ThEoD and whatnot, we do have a Rumble only section, so we do have a topics of discussion, or we can just segue in the YouTube stream while continuing the Rumble stream. So if it's something you want to talk about during the show, we can have it specifically for a Rumble section. But also, if you want to just talk about it off air, that's just fine as well, obviously. But I do want to talk about it. I want to hear what you have to say, because I was working on an idea with a former friend of mine on some kind of facility that's a desalination, water purification, and electricity generation all in one.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that would require a lot of energy. So I'd be very interested to hear what the concept for that is.
What's really sad is what you're just talking about there is what you have to do to figure out what's acceptable for free speech on different platforms. That's really sad.
Yeah. But basically,
Again, free speech.
Well-
Come on.
I'd be just as worried about people who want to control energy as I would be about the government who is in bed with them. Because there are entities who take ideas like this, and I'm sure I'm not the first one to have it, but they bottle these things up. They either buy them off or they get rid of the person who is like trying to
Yeah,
push
exactly.
forward this engineering concept just to keep control of the profiteering of the system.
Yeah.
And these
Yeah.
are a lot of the people that were involved, like with the Rothschild bankers and the creation of the Federal Reserve and all of that. Like this has been established long before I was born,
Yep.
and there have been people who have come and gone saying shit that I have thought. Like I, I would much rather let that system collapse, which is doing a good job of collapsing itself right now. So I'm just biding my time, and then when all the shit falls to nothing, we can rebuild. And I've got some ideas for how we do that very efficiently.
The biggest problem with what you're saying is, and I say this all the time, because I agree with everything you say, but what isn't considered, who's in power to rebuild? To what? There
I
lies
mean,
the
that's
problem.
that's a wild card. Like you can't
No, that's
actually
it.
plan
That's the
for
whole
that
point.
because
It's a
you don't
wild
know.
card. I mean,
I can only hold my ideas to try to present them when the rebuilding happens.
you hope they percolate to the
I
top. I
can't
agree with
plan
you.
for the ability to be able to.
Right, right.
Or I don't factor that in too much because it's a wild card beyond my control.
There you go. That's
An X
very
factor,
true.
if you will.
Very true.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to balance the equation as best I can with what I do have control of.
Yeah. Now, not to like derail the conversation or anything, but I just like I just want to say my idea about like what I said earlier. Like first, you take the water from the ocean to desalinize it. And obviously like any power needed is generated by solar. Like the semantics needs to be worked out. But I'm thinking you use solar power in conjunction with.
I have a hard case question. Like you're trying to take water from the ocean and desalinize it. Do you know how much pressure the ocean exerts? Why wouldn't you just draw the power directly from the ocean with a tidal, like, you know how a dam works
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the way the generators in a dam work? Like, imagine building something in the ocean that can just catch that back and forth energy from a tidal pressure and produce like constant energy because the ocean's always moving. Like tides come
Yes.
in, tides come out, waves go in, waves go out. Always a back and forth sloshing of the existence of the ocean. Seems almost to me like geothermally an infinite source of energy.
Oh yeah.
And
No.
this is
Like
why we
like
gotta not talk about this kind of shit because once I realize like we have an actual like plan for how that works, that's where people get shut down. Like
yeah.
you're gonna get bought out or you're gonna get Tesla,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, if I
Like
may, like lay out like the plan, like not really the plan, but just like how
Concept.
the conceive before we get back into the main body of the show because I want to talk about 1960 here in a second. But like basically, like as you said, use the pressure of the ocean to spin turbines as the water comes in, and then evaporate the water to desalinate. And then all the evaporation spins its own turbines, and that all the turbines generate power. The solar generates power. You get fresh water. There you go, a power plant and fresh water facility, desalination all in one. It's doable. If an idiot like me can think of something like that, there's someone out there, with a better brain power can figure out how to make it work. Like
Well,
oh, I mean,
you're absolutely right about the ocean.
just based on my concept of it, like I can see what we already have existing for technology being adapted to specifically what we just said. Make that work. Like
yeah,
that's not rocket science. That's like plugging a fucking extension cord in.
yeah. But anyway,
That's
let's
just
get
making
back
something we
to
already have work for something else.
yeah. But let's get back to the subject at hand here. We have a really cool movie coming out here in 1960.
Ooh, sweet. 1960, Psycho, psychological horror film directed by Alfred Hitchcock, starring Janet Leigh, Anthony Perkins, and Vera Miles, opens in New York City.
All right, that's a movie and a half right there, Psycho.
Oh yeah, great.
Hitchcock was a
Great
bit of
one.
a genius of his time.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna leave
Oh
it
yeah.
at that without getting too deep into the weeds on that topic, but Hitchcock is one of the top 4 greatest producers
Oh
in
yeah,
Hollywood history.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
And his time.
Yeah, we got another one here in '63. This is really cool.
1963 Soviet space mission Vostok 6 launched with Valentina Tereshkova on board, who becomes the first woman in space.
Hey,
First woman in space. All right.
yeah, Russia. There we go. Russia beating us up and down the alley in the space race. You know, first to
One
space,
down.
first animal in space, first man in space, first woman in space, first to get a probe on the moon, first to get a probe on Venus. Yet somehow we magically win by landing on the moon. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. No.
Hey, sometimes age is wonderful. I was on a school bus going to school when Sputnik went into space. Everybody was awestruck on the bus.
That's
Sputnik.
that's when Mom, got into all the space stuff because she was in high school when that happened, and like she was out in Vegas and she saw the mushroom clouds during the nuclear testing.
yeah.
Like she didn't go out there, so
Right.
but you can see them from Vegas. You know, like sometimes.
No. They sat out there, sat out on the front porch and watched the mushrooms.
Pick a side. Will Elon Musk be the first man to put a probe in Uranus?
Huh.
Because Elon Musk really wants to probe Uranus.
Well,
He's
sorry.
been talking about it for like the last 6 months on Twitter. Like,
Well, sorry to break
Really
his
want-
bubble, but I've already had a procedure done at a doctor, so my anus has already been probed.
Yeah.
for footage on that, check out the OnlyFans.
No.
Omni Coalition OnlyFans.
I am not uploading that. I don't care.
These are jokes. These are jokes.
So the
My
video-
bad.
I know they're jokes. I'm just adding to it.
This is why I don't like to go on other people's shows, because I do say the first shit that comes to my mind.
Oh, you're welcome to say whatever you want. You know me. I'm very easygoing. Like, it takes a lot to piss me off. It really does. So,
Yeah, and I know now that we're on YouTube, so there's some things that I have been cut from my, like, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. Like, a few of the things we've said here tonight, it's like, I'm not really worried about YouTube, but there are interests that just don't want these ideas getting out there.
yeah.
And if they can't get you banned, like, they're gonna find a way to shut you up, like, somehow, some way. Look at never mind,
Alex
we're on
Jones.
YouTube.
Weird,
I guess people have been talking about this on YouTube, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. But like, look at the guy that's running for president right now and the institutional effort against him.
Yeah, well, that's a whole
I'm not
conversation and a half.
trying to, like,
So,
That's 3.5 conversations that we can have.
Yeah.
That, like,
yeah.
it's very telling, because if they can go after him, what makes you think
You're safe.
they
Yeah.
can't go after you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're easy.
Like, this is
pickings.
one of the most powerful men in the country right now.
Yeah.
Arguably the world. Perhaps one of the most influential men in the world. Two of the most influential men in the world that I can think of right now that they've been going after hardcore, and that's DJ T and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I'd love to have this conversation on talk show. Like,
yeah, Cathedral's having its death throes right now.
yeah. Well, once again, make some notes. I'd love if you, well, since you said you might be joining us this upcoming Monday, I'd love to have that conversation on the Rumble section specifically. More than happy.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
when
Like,
all the gloves are allowed to come off and no worries about YouTube, because we won't be on YouTube with the Rumble section.
Right.
So,
That saddens me.
it
Well,
saddens me
you're
too,
not-
but
are you monetized on YouTube? Let me
no,
ask you
not
that.
monetized anywhere, and not going to
Right.
be. So,
So you're not going to get banned for any of the things I've said here. You
Well,
would be
we might.
demonetized if you were monetized, but
Yeah.
then I thought about it. It's like,
Well, this is what I was
can't
talking to
imagine
Loon
that.
about. Like, like we were having a whole conversation this morning over coffee. Like, about we've had this conversation many times before about why I'm not monetized. As soon as I open the door of money, then they're gonna kick my ass out so fast my head will spin. I don't even want to try. I'd love to make money off of this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against making money.
I have not-
But as soon as you
Yeah.
start getting money involved, now all these places that you're at, are, especially if they're woke or anything, and us here at Omni Coalition are very much not for the status quo. They
They're
already
killed.
they've already
They're
given
killed.
us strikes. They've already taken their swings at us. Once we get money involved, then we're dead. And I want to ride this wave as much as possible before the inevitable happens. And we'll make money elsewhere. We'll make merch.
Well,
We'll make donations. That's a bunch of stuff
I
I
am
gotta get set
currently
up.
having my heart broken, and I'm gonna tangent off even a little further here. Watching what's happening with Alice Jones and Infowars
Oh,
right
man.
now is the second most heartbreaking thing behind what they're
Yeah.
doing to Donald Trump. And I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump. Let me get that fucking clear
Same.
right now.
Same here.
I don't like Donald Trump, but I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And I know why the institution is going after him. I am, however, big fan of Alex Jones, and I know why they're going after him too. And this shit really is like, I need to speak up right now because I'm next.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not next, but I'm
Well,
I'm
you
on
will
the
be.
line.
Yeah.
I'm definitely right in the scopes.
You're on the chopping
like
block
Steven
lineup for
Crowder,
sure. We all are.
Tim
Like-
Pool, you and me, like we're all in the like if you're not supporting what the institution is doing,
Then you're going to be
you're in the
sacrificed.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's next.
I don't
or-
want to
or
be
what-
cattle.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the gulag.
Yeah.
I don't want to make big rocks into little rock.
Yeah.
I want people to just be able to do what they love to do and make the most money they can make doing it.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Well, speaking of great things here, we have something here in 1978.
Oh, John Travolta and is that
Olivia Newton-John. Isn't she the one who
1978.
played...
Olivia Newton-John?
Isn't she the one who
Yeah.
played Leslie Knope in Parks and Recreation?
She looks. No, that's not her.
Okay. I don't know.
That
She's
is
a
not her.
singer.
I was
She is a
thinking the
singer
same
and
thing. I'm like,
actress.
wow, she looks a lot like that lady who was in Park and Rec.
Oh.
Well, I mean, all these
When
Hollywood
Parks and Rec
actresses
came
look the
out, she
same. They
was-
all have the same look, Like,
Well, there is a selling look.
yeah.
I hate to say it, but
It's the algorithm,
prejudices
It's
are a thing,
it's
and
the
that is-
physical, visible algorithm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, the
So-
old saying, sex sells.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, what do we got here in 78? Whoever wants to read this.
Yeah, it's 1978 film Grease opened, starring John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, based on the 1971 musical.
Yeah. And speaking of musicals, before we go off on the whole tangent again, let's take this here. You want to read this too, King?
1970 or 78?
1980.
Oh yeah, 1980.
Yeah, if you don't mind, just go to my share
Oh
screen.
yeah,
here.
1980 musical comedy film Blues Brothers, the only musical worth watching ever,
Yes.
starring
Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, and directed by John Landis. Premieres in Chicago, Illinois. I truly believe that. Men,
I
So,
like Jim
hey.
Belushi more than I like John Belushi, but Dan Aykroyd is like an OG. Shout out
Yeah.
to Dan. Like, and the Blues Brothers was a really good flick. Like,
oh,
I don't watch the
Perfect.
movies, but I would recommend that one.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
yeah. Guys, if your girl ever says, "Oh, let's go watch a musical together," say, "Bet,"
Yeah,
and over like this.
yeah. Well, Grease
Absolutely.
2 is good, and interestingly enough, both of these musicals involve cars heavily. So,
If your girlfriend gets you to watch a musical, she's got you. I'm going to tell you by what.
well, no, it's not that she's got you there, it's that she's moved them to her purse.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't really F with chicks that F with musicals, but I have a certain typecast, and girls that I usually go for don't usually go for musicals.
Huh.
There you go. I'm sensing you make good choices. I'm not sure.
Well, he's chosen to be with us, so.
Well, not all of them are good.
Amen to that. The girls that I usually go for low budget horror flicks, so there's a whole case to be made against that, and I could assemble it in like 16 seconds. Like, that's just gore and death. Yes, it is. You are correct.
Well, interestingly enough, perfect segue. Thank you very much for setting me up there, Sir Darth. But 1980, we have U.S. Supreme Court rules that live human-made microorganism created in labs could be patentable in Diamond versus Chakrabarti. Yikes!
Patentable. What the heck is that
Oy.
mean?
That means you can patent creating a life form. That means you can
Wow.
like you have
Like a
You can
viral.
patent the process. Okay.
yeah of
Okay.
making
I
a
get
life.
you're
What
saying.
the hell? Oh my god! Ah, sweet man-made, human-made nightmares beyond my comprehension. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's funny because we were talking before the show about man being made in the image of God
Yeah.
and man trying to like
Make our own creations in the
absolutely
image of
embody
us.
that image, like attain that next level and create something from nothing. Like we can't do it. But we can take things that weren't meant to be what they are and mutate them and alter them and modify them until they're unrecognizable from their original source.
Yeah.
We can take a tree and make it into paper.
Yeah. And then draw a tree on it.
And then draw a tree on it. Absolutely. Like that is the cycle of what we're able to do, which is very interesting, and it's
And
Just-
along that same vein of thinking, humans are the only species that cut down trees, turn it into paper, and write "Save the Trees" on them.
Mhm.
Like,
that's very
And-
interesting in and of itself.
along that same vein of thinking as well, another bit of information I've gotten from memes is that books are just a compilation of the skin of dead trees that have tattoos on them, more or less. That's metal as hell.
It is pretty metal.
Yeah. And we got
That's
here.
also wild because their tattoos are written in the blood of other plants.
Yeah,
Oh,
ink.
that's
Yeah.
that's metal right there.
That is, yeah, ink.
It
And,
is super fucking
Written in
metal.
the blood of a
what goes into making
Yeah,
ink
ink
anyway?
is just the lifeblood of other plants. Like, oh.
Yeah. But how is ink made? That good thing to bring up, dude. How is ink made? I know that we used to use like squid ink and stuff. Do we still do that? Like, do we synthetically make ink? What is let me look this up. What's
I know that
Is
the
ink
colors for a
made
lot
of?
of inks are extracted from the flowers of a lot of plants. Like red ink, for instance, is extracted from. God, I can't remember what the plant is right now, but
well?
it's very very difficult to find like the one that makes the good red ink.
It's not telling me what ink is made of.
I assume by now it's synthetic.
Because a
Yeah,
lot of
but of
inks
what?
are made from a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But cephalopods apparently make ink as well. It says here. Why do cephalopods make ink?
Yeah.
Squid, octopi. I don't know why people call them octopuses.
Yeah.
It's octopi.
So-
Cuttlefish use ink to confuse
Because
predators.
Octopussy was just too obvious.
Yeah. Well, that's the name of a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, it's octopi is the actual term.
It's
Right.
the plural of octopus, yes.
Yeah. But speaking of
And they're an cephalopod,
yeah,
like a squid.
yeah.
They produce their own ink, but that's not writing ink. Like, if you were to say, how do you make writing ink, it's extracted from plant matter and other minerals. Like, some ink, like calligraphic ink, is made from, like, minerals and shit. Like, it's mixed with other shit. Like,
It's just telling me about printer ink now, and the top article is once again the cephalopods link.
Of course.
type of ink used by printers. No, like what is ink made of? Like, what is writing ink made of? All right. Ink versus toner. What's the difference? I don't care about that. All right. Well, Pete's, if you're still watching, or if anybody else wishes to, please.
I might have to dig into how we got to the ink, because that might lead into an interesting conversation about the printing press and the dissemination of information
And literacy.
which led the human population into the Age of Enlightenment, which we currently are still like. This is the Age of Enlightenment was like Socrates and Aristotle and the great like Greek and
The philosophers and all that
past.
stuff, like the Renaissance.
I'd say we never came like the Age of Enlightenment led birth to the Renaissance, but it never went away.
Well, that
Like,
just
the
moved
Renaissance
into
went
the
away even
Industrial
in the
Revolution.
Dark Ages.
Like one leads to the
Yeah.
other, leads to the other, leads to the other. Like everything is connected in its
Yes.
own way.
Cyclical. It's
Yeah.
all cyclical. You are correct.
Yeah.
But the idea of enlightenment has never gone to ground completely. It's always been maintained in some fires, you know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fires and whatnot, like what do we got here in 1989? Whoever wants to read this.
1989, Ghostbusters 2, American supernatural comedy film sequel, directed by Ivan Reitman, starring Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, premieres.
Oh, so another Dan Aykroyd.
Aykroyd
He was
again.
in he was in Blues Brothers too, right? Dan
Yeah.
Aykroyd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
He was Blues Brothers.
Interesting.
Him and John Belushi,
Yeah.
the
Of course, he
lesser
was in
Belushi brother,
Ghostbuster 1,
in
too.
my opinion.
Yeah.
Also.
That's interesting. So, like, on the same calendar dates, different years, two Dan Aykroyd movies,
Yeah.
you know, or he was in them, you know, came out.
Dan
Ghostbusters
Aykroyd
2.
must have been a big proponent of Fathers, because this is Father's Day
Yeah.
twice that he's had a major movie that he starred in come out. Like,
Well, I mean, Dan Aykroyd does have that Crystal Skull vodka, and, you know, once you're a father, you get into drinking. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Crystal Skull vodka is one of the worst liquors I've ever tasted, and the price point is ridiculous. Like, that is lower mid-shelf vodka in such a fancy bottle that they charge you twice what it's worth.
well, yeah,
The
because it's
bottle
Dan
is very
Aykroyd. You're paying for the celebrity
Yeah.
involvement, not
And
the
the
actual
bottle.
product.
I mean,
and the bottle.
I hate to say this, but I've had Kimosabi Mezcal, which is Dwayne Johnson's like tequila.
That guy's a piece of shit. I'm
And
sorry.
I've had Proper 12 whiskey, which is Conor McGregor's whiskey.
Conor, is he
Those
still
have
running for
both-
office of Ireland, by the way? Do you know?
I don't think he ever actually officially announced anything.
I thought he did.
I know he was getting ready to go do a fight with Michael Chandler and had to like back out of that because he's injured, but I would love to see Conor McGregor actually like go for high office in Ireland. I think he would. I don't think they could even cheat hard enough to keep him out.
yeah, no,
But
he would just
I don't
drag
think he
him into
actually
the
wants to be a
octagon. and, like,
politician. The dude is an asshole. He doesn't want to run a governmental office.
yeah.
He's a fighter, dude. He wants to beat people up. That's what he does. Like,
Well, so
he
did.
hates the politics, but he doesn't want to do politics.
Well, I mean, like, who was it? Was it, like, I remember one former president, I want to say Teddy Roosevelt, but I think it was a different one. I think it was Teddy. But there was one president who, like, routinely invited people into the White House for boxing matches to fight him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was Teddy Roosevelt.
Okay.
Theodore. Oh man, like he was a fighter. Like,
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know,
I think-
Conor McGregor is kind of like Teddy
I think
Roosevelt. a little bit.
Harrison was also a fighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Former President Harrison, like he's one of those presidents that was president during a time where nothing notable happened, so
Isn't-
nobody actually talks about him. But I think he fought people too.
Well, didn't Harrison kill Alexander Hamilton in a duel?
That doesn't sound right.
Well,
Right.
Alexander Hamilton died in a duel, but now he's on point.
Madison shot Hamilton in a duel. Yeah,
Okay.
James Madison.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken, but
Hold
if
on a
I'm not
second, let's see
mistaken, I
here.
think it was James Madison.
Who
They shot
killed
Alexander Hamilton in the duel.
Hamilton? Man who killed his girl? No, no. Who killed
President.
Alex? Alexander Hamilton was never a
No,
president.
that's true.
Aaron Burr. Well, Aaron Burr is there's
Aaron Burr, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole thing behind
That's
him.
correct.
Yeah, no, just months before Burr killed Hamilton in a duel, there's a whole conspiracy behind Burr. So,
Yeah.
huh. Anyway, speaking of like,
American history is so interesting if you
Oh,
actually
yeah.
look into what really happened versus what they taught you to believe in school. There's so much nuance that you never got a chance to learn because they taught you this when you were just a young impressionable mind, so that when truth came up, like you would violently reject it because it goes against everything you knew to believe.
yeah. Well, speaking of shooting
Wild.
people, we have a Batman article here.
Ooh, Batman.
Kiss
What year?
from a rose on the grave.
Please tell me Joaquin Phoenix didn't kill himself like Heath Ledger did.
No. We're still on history
Oh
here.
shit! I said kill himself. I meant commit self-die.
Yeah. Well.
damn
Oh well. Anyway, what do we got here, King?
So 1995, Batman Forever opens with a record 528 million. Weekend starring Val Kilmer, Chris O'Donnell, Tommy Lee Jones, and Nicole.
Hmm.
That's a
I
lot
mean,
of
that
people.
might have been my favorite. Batman
of
and
money.
Robin and Batman Forever are right up there, like at the peak of Batman nostalgia for me. Val Kilmer is not actually the best Batman, but those are really well put together movies
Yeah.
as far as the Batman series goes.
What I find really like like a nice little intrigue thing is the bat turn or whatever it's called, because like up until and they even talked about it, like there's Batman Begins, and then the Dark Knight, and then the Dark Knight Rises is when then they finally brought in a Batman costume where you can turn your head, but up until then the neck and everything was stiff, so if you wanted to look somewhere
Yeah.
you had to turn your whole body. So
Just
it
turn
was a
your
thing like the
shoulders
bat
and-
turn.
Yeah.
Like, let's see if I can
That
find
makes
it.
sense.
Like, let me try to see if I can find it again. The bat turn.
But Val Kilmer was actually a pretty adequate Batman.
Yeah, this is from Batman in 1989. But like, whenever he has to turn his head, he has to turn his whole body. See, like right there.
Yeah.
So that became right there. You saw it again. Like that became like a little like mini trope or something, like the bat turn. And I just find that interesting. He basically was completely stiff from the shoulders up. And like they
Yeah, 'cause
acknowledged
the whole
that.
shoulder pads were built right into the helmet.
Yeah, the whole thing was just
It was all one bit.
Yeah, one article of clothing that was stiff.
Yeah.
So, but like they addressed it either in the more recent what's his face, Christian something,
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, thank you.
Yeah,
Where,
Christian Bale, the Dark Knight guy.
yeah, like
he
one
was
of
the Dark
those.
Knight and the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, one of those two movies. They even brought that up, and then they invented in the movies canonically, a cape and cowl whole thing that with the ability to turn your neck. So, let's see if I can bring this up. Dark Knight.
I really did like both Christian Bale and Val Kilmer as Batman. Like, I think they did a really good job.
Dark
I think
Knight.
Val Kilmer might be the most slept on Batman in the history of the series.
Yeah, I can't really see it that well. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's see. Open image in new tab. Will this allow me to zoom in? Yeah. So you can see here, there's slats. So this allows
Yep.
for pivotal movements. There's a break in the construction here. So
Yep. An evolution of the Batsuit.
yeah. And that's really cool, like how they brought in a trope and addressed it in a movie and actually like made it canonical and then came up with something.
Yep.
I find that really cool personally. So
I mean, that's just how technology evolves for all of us. Like, there is a problem presented, and a solution is born of the problem presented.
yeah, but to put it into like into the script and then make it part of the universe, that's a step of, like you get what I'm saying.
I mean,
like
that's just life.
yeah,
It's literally life.
yeah, it is. So, well, speaking of life, Sir King, we were talking about this guy not too long ago, actually. You want to tell us about this?
Johnny.
2015 TV personality and real estate mogul Donald Trump launches his campaign for the Republican nomination for U.S. President. Trump
Oh
ballot.
shit! He literally came down the escalator on Father's Day.
Well,
Well, it's not the same.
yeah, this date is
Same
not
day
Father's
every year.
Day every single year, but like it's Father's Day today. It just so happens, like how Thanksgiving is the
Pretty sure
last
the
Thursday.
16th. I'm pretty sure the 16th of June is Father's Day every year.
No.
No,
So
because Father's Day is on Sunday.
It's like the second or third Sunday of June.
because like
okay,
because
alright.
like next year it's the 16th is either going to be on a Saturday or a Monday. I don't know how the calendar works, but it's not precise every single time. So like next year it's not going to be the 16th. It's either going to be the 15th or the 17th.
That's wild that he picked a day that did fall.
Well, eventually it's
On
going to fall.
today.
Like I don't think he had Father's Day in mind, but
He might have. I mean, he's more calculated than people do give him credit for.
Oh, he's very calculated.
But also at the same time, like, he's not as 40 chess as some people think. So
Yeah.
there is a balance with my man DJT. Like I said, not an actual huge supporter. Like, if you were like, who do you prefer, Donald Trump or Joe Biden? I'd be like, can I get a 5-year-old with a ham sandwich?
Huh.
No, I do prefer Donald Trump to Joe Biden. I also prefer a 5-year-old with a ham sandwich to Joe Biden, and that would be less controversial, I think,
yeah,
in the mainstream. To say, like, I'd rather have a little kid with a ham sandwich be president than fucking Joe Biden. Like, dude is an incontinent, demented senior who needs to just live out the rest of his golden years, like, not performing this bread and circuses bullshit.
yeah. Well, that's a whole
Problematic
conversation
for
by
me.
itself as well. Like, there's that recent thing that came out where, like, on the same day, there's like a different Joe Biden that looked different or something. There's a bunch of theories out there that, like, that there's a robot, that there's lookalikes, that he's constantly on drugs, like what he did.
That's all out there. Specifically to throw people off of the actual truth of the matter is the dude is not capable
Absolutely
to
not.
run anything anymore. No. You can throw all the conspiracy theories in you want as to how they try to prop him up. He's just a doddering old fool who is propped up by a bunch of establishment power. The type of establishment power that honestly needs to be done away with and is dying, which is why they're fighting back so hard against losing their control and authority, because this is just the natural cycle of things. Things grow old and they die.
Yeah,
That is all nature.
yeah,
Great empires rise and they fall.
yep.
Your time is coming. Like, just accept it. You'll do way better in life.
Do
Just
what you
accept the
can
fact
with
that
what you
you
have.
can't
while
control
you can,
everything forever.
Yeah.
You fucked enough shit up. Let it go.
Speaking of fucking shit up here, we got something that's really screwed up in 2016.
Mhm.
King?
2016, Philadelphia is the first USA to pass a tax on sweetened drinks.
Yeah, so, like, remember, like, they went wild with that in New York? They banned, like, what, the 48-ounce cups for soda and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
They banned anything bigger than a 32-ounce cup.
yeah,
Boy, don't
I
you just
remember
love government getting in? Well, they know best. They want to rule your life.
yeah,
That's what that represents to me.
yeah,
And
You can tell me the size drink I can have? Come on. I know it's bad for me.
yeah,
You don't have to tell me.
yeah. I mean, like,
you
this
know,
entire
you
time,
know what happened from that?
like, people just went out of state and bought it and stuff. Like,
No, they literally just bought 2 of the next size
Oh.
down.
well, that was probably the intention and increased sales.
Oh, good for business. Look at our sodas.
I mean,
are up.
good
Yeah.
job.
Soda sales
Great
are up.
marketing, right?
Yeah,
Well, I love the ones that can't have the big one, but we have free refills.
yeah.
Right.
Like, as
Like,
soon as
why-
as soon as you
why-
start putting laws in something, people will find a way to skirt it, guaranteed, one way or
There
another.
is an end around to everything.
Yeah. So just
Always.
stop with all the laws. People are going to do what they're going to do. We need a scaffolding. We need structure. Don't get me wrong, but we got to
The
stop with this
reason they
damn
wanna
camel's nose in
impose
the
all
tent
the
thing. You know?
laws is to generate the revenue.
Yeah.
I mean, policing behavior is secondary to generating revenue off of taxation, because if we can sell you 2 drinks, we can tax you twice.
Yeah.
And the producer benefits because they sell you 2 drinks. The government benefits because they get to double tax you, and you're the one who ends up getting the dick in the ass because you had to buy 2 drinks and get taxed twice to get the same amount you used to get under like a free society.
Yeah, well, like, kind of, sort of, in a way, this is like the broken window fallacy. People focus on the seen, which is the governmental
yeah.
overreach, and not the unseen, which is how, the industry is profiting off of the overreach. Out of you.
Well, the
You
broken
know?
window fallacy is an entirely different scenario because like the broken window fallacy is claimed to be an economic boom, but it's not because there's always a sunken cost.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting at, a sunken cost fallacy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I now have to spend money to buy a new window, but I would have been able to spend my money elsewhere if I didn't have to buy a new window. The
Yeah.
broken window is not benefiting my economy, it's benefiting the window maker and everything that contributes to that economy, but not to my own, which I would have spent the money doing other things if I didn't have to buy this new window because my window got broke.
Yeah.
Or you can put it on your credit card, and I still have plenty of money left.
Oh, God, credit. Oh.
Oh, no, yes, you're going to have to
Oh,
pay interest
man.
to me. Thank you very much.
Well, speaking
I mean,
of...
selling debt has been around as long as Jesus. Like, Jesus went into the temple and bullwhipped the money changers,
Yep.
which were the debtors, out of his father's house. Like, selling debt's been one of the oldest, like, establishments of creating wealth from nothing.
Yeah.
Is loan sharking,
Yeah.
essentially.
Well,
Oh, especially the interest rates they charge.
I can't think of any way to segue into this without, like, sounding bad. So let's let's move on up here to 2019, right? Really quick.
Sarah, 2019, Sarah Netanyahu's wife of Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu admits to misuse of state funds in court.
Oh, how surprising!
Hmm.
Talking about finances, economy, and Jesus and debtors
The
and
Jews.
Jews. Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, Jews.
Yeah.
I said it.
Well, that's why I said it. I didn't want to
damn
say
it.
anything at risk of
I
saying.
meant to shut up.
Yeah.
I meant to shut up because I heard Netanyahu's name and I'm like, oh, the Jews.
Yeah,
Here we
here we
go.
go, Israel. Like, how surprising! How
It's
how
illegal
freaking
to
typical.
criticize.
So
No, it's very telling. It's very telling that it's illegal to criticize Israel in America. You can criticize the founding of America in America. It's now illegal to criticize the founding of Israel in America.
oh, dude, like
let
like
that sink in.
as the saying
Let
goes.
that sink in.
As the saying goes, if you really want to know who's truly in power, look no further than those you're not allowed to mock. And
You
If you
criticize,
say
yes.
anything, like, the instant you say Jew, everybody in the world automatically
Loses their
loads.
mind.
Everybody in the world automatically loads in their mind anti-Semitism to shut up the conversation if
Yep.
it doesn't go exactly the way that they want. Well,
Yeah.
hello, you know,
Uh,
like,
all I'm gonna say is Everstein, Thingelberg, Timowitz.
yeah, yeah,
That's all you need to know.
yeah. But let's see here. I'm trying to find.
Just nothing with cricket, huh?
Yeah, well, we skipped over. I don't think we had any cricket things actually today, but I'm trying to find something interesting here. 2022, like I will take this 90-year-old. This is interesting. So
And 2022, 90-year-old U.S. cosmetic company Revlon files for bankruptcy, blaming supply issues on rising costs.
yeah, well, that was just 2 years ago, and like 90-year-old company, like all these, that was in there because it's a 90-year-old company. Like these are old company, a lot
Word
of old
life,
companies.
this
Well,
is
Revlon
basic
was the top of
Bidenomics.
cosmetics.
Ah,
Yeah,
Back
basic
in the day.
Bidenomics.
yeah.
Basic Bidenomics.
Ah, okay. But we got another one here. 2023.
2023, scientific teams in the UK and Israel claim to have grown synthetic human embryos equivalent to that of a 14-day-old natural embryo, sparking controversy.
Now that is scary in itself. Like we were talking about all this earlier. Like we are creating things in the image of ourselves, which we were created in the image of God and all that stuff. If you're a Christian, you believe all that, whatnot. Which I'm an omniscient, I do. But like, remember what we talked about earlier as well. Artificially created things can be copywritten. So now, are we entering a world where we can literally create not just life but other humans and start copywriting them?
Well, hold
start
on.
laying
We just had
claim.
that article
hold
about
on.
patents.
Yeah,
This is very telling. Because I do happen to know a little bit about this. And I will just go ahead and throw this out there. We did something in 2023 that sparked controversy. Japan did it in 2013. And it didn't spark any controversy because Japan doesn't have the moral or religious hang-ups that we do. We just took the CRISPR technology that they had created and started doing it ourselves, and that sparked a whole host of controversy in our culture, but it was 10 years old. Like,
huh?
Japan's about to spawn they're going to be the first country to create the artificial womb, which will grow a human embryo to full term out of necessity because their population is in demographic death spiral. Like, they're in a free fall, and they're not going to be a culture anymore if they don't find a way to breed themselves out of that death spiral. So they're going to be the first country to actually perfect the artificial womb and be able to grow life out of basic building blocks,
Yeah,
That's going to happen.
that's terrifying.
This thing that happened in 2023 is like it's just shades of what they've been doing in Japan for decades. It's telling because of our moral standing that we have an issue with it. Like, we're playing God. Like, I mean, we're made in the image of God. God is in us. God is of us. We are of God. We are a circle. We're symbiotic. I mean, in the sense that, like, God is not dependent on us,
We are all
but
one.
God has imbued us. God has imbued us with the characteristics we need to adapt and overcome anything. All we need is trust God that we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, not to get start turning too religious or anything, but like yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but the Japanese have not had the hang-ups about embracing their image So they're already like light years ahead of us in this cloning technology because they're in demographic
So
freefall.
what
Like
you're saying is it's only
Japan
becoming a
has
big
one of the
deal
top
because the Western world took
the
it.
bottom 5 lowest fertility rates in the world. Like number 1 is South Korea at like 0.46, but Japan's right down there at like 0.68.
Yikes.
They're not even 1-to-1 replacement.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
you need a 2 to
this
2,
is in the comments.
2.2
China
replacement.
is the biggest country that's going down the rat hole of
Hi, guys.
losing population, and they're well on their way. And it was politically induced with their one-child law
Yeah.
back in the day. Now they find out what a huge mistake that is, but they are going down.
Oh, China
Correct.
is pulling out of their death spiral, which I give them credit for. But they're still not figuring it out that like you can't limit population growth. If you want to grow your society, you need to incentivize population growth because the next generation is going to be bigger than the generation you have.
Yeah.
The next generation is what you need
It's not
to,
gonna
to
just
survive. To survive.
exist to
but I'll
support
take
your
issue
current-
with you. China is
Your
not
current
pulling out of it
generation
by
is
any
going to
stretch.
exist to
They've certainly recognized it.
Yeah,
They're
no.
not pulling
Expand.
out of it.
Now I want to interject really quick. Ghostery said something I completely agree with. Which hi Ghost, and I saw that KR said hi to her, and I saw her comment a while ago. I've been wanting to interject here, but Darth Hideous is a great addition to things, and I agree, dude. This show has been phenomenal, man. Like this.
Hey, I'm glad I could just share my thoughts on things that I know to be a thing.
Yeah, like I'd love to have you on. You know, I've always wanted to have you on, but like you have made this episode of TDH like really good, and I'd love to have you on as much as you're willing to come on. So,
Hey man, like I told you, like I'm down to get down. It is hard to do my own show
Yeah.
right now, but it is good to be able to like come and just contribute and hang out. And I'm with it if I'm available. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
very busy these days, but when I do have the time, I'm down to put forth what I got. Like
yeah. Well, I will like at the end of the show. I always like talk about the other shows and everything. So keep an ear out, and then we'll discuss after the show more semantics about all this. But like if there's any other shows aside this one that you'd like to join, which you're already talking about joining us on Monday on Talk Show. But we have 2 more articles here before we wrap it up here. Sir King, would you care to read this 2023 just last year?
Which 2023?
The Recording Academy.
Recording Academy. And 2023, the Recording Academy announces new rules for Grammy Awards aimed at AI use, stating that only human creators can win, but a work containing AI eligible as long as human input is meaningful. So that's kind of a vague description.
Well, basically, like the whole AI thing is becoming such a problem that now, like they're and I think they're actually slow to the game. But now all of these precautions have to be taken because, like, just on the news show, now they have an entire AI generated beauty contest thing coming up. Like, now they have to have entire things segregating AI from human works and have AI be its own thing. Kind of like how women's sports, like women have their own thing in sports and men have their own thing in sports. Now we have AI.
Yeah,
in their
you
own
think
thing.
women's sports exist? That's cute.
Well, they
Well,
don't.
look at how
They don't
big-
anymore today, but unfortunately. But what were you going to go on
Look
with?
how
I
ambiguous
mean,
this
they
is.
never
as
did.
Long as
Nobody ever
human
gave a
input
fuck about
is
women's sports
meaningful.
until
But that
men
means
showed
nothing.
Yeah.
up in women's
Nothing.
sports.
Well, like
Nobody cares.
well, I was just using that as an analogy, but this AI is just getting crazy, and
Let's just have an AI category.
yeah.
We care about women's volleyball. Beach
Yeah.
Hold on.
volleyball.
Well,
I
jiggle
mean,
physics.
we also care about women's gymnastics, and to some lesser extent, I've been watching the women's
Yeah.
division of the UFC grow to something respectable.
Have you heard about that
No.
one lady in the
I would
WNBA
never-
who's just getting trashed?
Caitlin Clark?
Is that the right
Yeah,
word? Yeah.
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 Yeah, Caitlin.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
Caitlin Clark.
poor woman.
Oh,
Oh, she's.
woo-hoo.
Yeah, I'm a supporter of Caitlin Clark. Like, she needs all the
She's
props.
awesome.
Like,
She's got the stats. She's got the stats to be a top-level competitor.
she was
She's
single-handedly
getting shit
making
on
the
because she's got
WNBA
the wrong
relevant,
skin color.
and all these people are going
That's
after her
just
because she's
irritating
straight.
me.
Like,
Well, the same thing happens there that for me personally. Well, I never followed the WNBA, but this is happening. What
No, I
happened
never
to the
did.
NBA? Why I no longer watch them or very rarely watch them. I like to watch basketball. Don't interject politics into it, please.
but
I
that's,
don't need it.
See, that's the whole point of professional sports. Like, I've been saying this a long time. Professional sports, be it basketball, football, soccer, baseball, hockey, rugby, cricket, whatever. All it is just modern day Olympic games in order to, and they're designed. They're designed to distract you from the politics in order for the politics to do things that you would not support because you're too busy getting bread and watching people have fun. Now
Well, the
you're getting
politics
politics
have
in
been
what's supposed to be a
injected into
distraction.
the
Of course it's not working. You know?
But you can see the supposed death spiral happened in the NBA. They're losing attendance every year it goes down. Why? Because they screwed it up. It's not that it isn't a great sport or great athletes and all that to go with it. Everybody just wants basketball. That's it. Same with football. Don't take a knee. Play football.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a college football fan all my life. I don't really care. I never really did care for the NFL because I grew up in an era like after Steve Young and Jerry Rice, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. Those guys got out of it in the like late '90s, and early 2000s. Like the sport kind of went to shit before the politics even got injected in it, just because of what they did to the rules to
Oh,
make
yeah.
the sport not fun to watch anymore.
Can't even tackle a damn quarterback anymore.
Well,
Right. I mean, NHL, like, you can't beat the shit out of somebody anymore without, like, facing severe
Repercussions.
penalty
Well, you
fines. Like,
shouldn't be
if
beating
you
the
whoop
shit out
the
of
living
people.
shit out of somebody in the NHL, you're paying, like, a $25,000 fine
yeah.
to the league for fighting. Like,
well,
Still pocket
this is the
change. though.
NHL.
yeah.
Still
We were
just
built
pocket
on
change.
fighting.
If you want to
Fuck
fight,
off.
go into the UFC or something. Like, there's plenty of sports out there if you want to just start swinging. They, like, now, like, people obviously go for hockey, mostly to see the fights, just like how people go to NASCAR to see the crashes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's half the
he was
reason I
built on
went.
Fighting.
Oh, I hope there's a fight tonight.
But speaking
I
of
mean,
sports,
I went to...
go ahead.
In 1996, I went to a Detroit Red Wings and Colorado Avalanche fight, and a hockey game broke out.
Wait, what?
Like, I went to go see a bloodbath. I
I
watched them play
get
a
it.
good game of
Oh, I
hockey.
get it.
That's an old
Funny
joke.
if
Old
I-
joke.
And a hockey
though.
game, really. That was the first time I've ever heard that. That's
I know.
funny. That is hilarious.
But let me say this. Going back to
Yeah,
football, which
that's
you
how
just
that
talked
went
about.
down.
See, I
I
go
was
back
going for the fight. They played a good hockey game that night, though.
Hey, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, going back to football, and we were just talking about. I go back farther than you guys do, way farther back. I remember when college football was the thing. I'm in Southern California.
thing.
The Rams were here, but yawn, yawn. Huge UCLA fan. My kid across the street was a big SC fan. Everybody's talking about which one, and it was all college football.
Yeah, before professional became
Well,
really popular.
It was
so.
it was there, but it was all secondary. And eventually it came to the top. Same with basketball. Professional basketball was a snoozeville. Nobody knew about it. Everybody talked about college.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. The Lakers came to town when I was 15 years old. I don't remember when they did. It wasn't a bunch of hoopla.
Yeah.
They just came in and okay, we got a pro team.
Now, speaking of sports and
Yeah.
basketball, something I've been wanting to say before we move up on our last article here. Jerry West, I was told yesterday the other day,
Couple days
ago, that Jerry West, the image of the National
logo.
Basketball, the logo, the guy dribbling the ball on the NBA logo, has unfortunately passed away, a couple days ago
Yeah.
on that day.
Yeah.
So, I'm just bringing that up to pay respects, to that guy, and all he did and all that
Shout out to
stuff.
Jerry West. Salud.
Yes.
There's
So-
another man,
Suppose
you
that
know,
counts, like-
I got to watch him.
Yeah, you saw him on the court.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Him and Elgin Baylor. Oh,
Yeah.
what a duo.
yeah.
Went to the finals 9 times and won 1. He ran up against the Celtics. My hated Celtics. Can you tell I'm biased?
Yeah. The Celtics are
Larry
based in where?
Bird.
Boston?
Larry
Boston,
Bird
yeah.
was the man.
Yeah,
Just say it.
yeah. Anyway, let's take our last article here, then we'll have some banter, and then we'll wrap up. So what do we got here? Another 2023? And I know this is gonna cause a conversation to pop off here. I know it.
Okay.
Truck drivers.
Yeah.
2023 U.S. truck driver Robert Bowers found guilty of the deadliest attack on Jews in the U.S. of shooting 11 worshippers at the Tree of Light Synagogue, Pittsburgh, in 2018.
Yeah, and I never heard of this. And
I did never hear of this until just now.
this sounds like
Yeah,
something like I'm not saying it's wrong, but it sounds like something used for propaganda. Like, we were the whole
It sounds
conversation
like
we were
the
having
seed
earlier.
that they planted for the thing that they just passed a couple of weeks ago that says you can't criticize anything about.
Yeah, you're talking about the
Nation of
anti-Semitism
Israel.
awareness bill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. That one.
I was gonna bring that up earlier. Yeah, like as I said, if you want to look for
Everything Singleberg Timowitz.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost like this is like
but I mean,
a part of
what
our culture since World War II.
what really drives me up a wall about that bill is, and I know this is not a political show or anything like that, but I just want to say that while we're talking about all this, is that it's going after things in the Bible, like what the Jews did to Jesus, who was a Jew himself, that's going to be covered in the anti-Semitism. So this, here we go, another persecution of Christians. Like they're at it again.
To be
So
a contrarian, just in the case that I am, the Jews would argue the Romans did that to Jesus. The Jews had
but the
nothing to
Romans
do
were
with
the
it.
Jews.
And the Bible would back that up because Pontius Pilate was the one who let that go down. He was a Roman governor at the time in
Watch
the
sense
region.
of it.
But see, here's the thing. People are saying, oh, it was the Romans who killed Jesus. Yes, the Romans did kill Jesus, but the Romans were also Jews. Like what's his face, like Nero or whatever. Like he converted to Judaism and all that stuff. So when people say the Jews killed Jesus, no, the Romans killed Jesus. No, they both did because they're one and the same. It's the same people.
It was a conspiracy
to
kill our Lord and Savior, but it was also God intended to happen. So
yeah.
how can we even be mad at them about it?
And once again, I want to reiterate: this is not a
just-
Christian show. This is not a political show. This is not a religious show.
Yeah.
But we're just speaking
not.
our minds.
It's just a free speech
History.
show,
Yeah.
a free thinking show,
Yeah.
a historical show.
And it involves a topic
We all
that
have
we
our
just discussed.
interpretations
So,
and
We're
opinions.
talking about history.
yeah.
How it affects us today.
Ghostery, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
By the way,
And of
shout out
course,
to-
Ghost is
to
talking about beefcakes.
my girl.
Oh, that woman.
She's pretty based, and she's always been a supporter of mine as long as I've known her.
Ghostery's awesome.
I'm not gonna bust out. Yeah, I'm not gonna bust out anything else, but
Well, I mean,
She
we
been-
were
she been
talking
good
about.
people.
We were talking about a certain individual who's been stirring up a whole lot of pots recently. Ghostery calls her Voldemort, but if it wasn't, but I'm gonna drop this name just to give credit where credit is due. If it was not for Shenny Graham Yell Rock, I would have never met Ghostery. So,
it's cute.
yeah. So yeah. But anyway, that shall be it for the show. Once again, please check the underbar of the description below for any links you may be interested in, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. We're not just on Rumble and YouTube, we're also on BitChute and Odyssey and other things. So please check the underbar, for our link tree and all that stuff. Anyway, for your dose of past events daily, we stream almost every day at 11 in the morning Pacific time, which is 12 noon Mountain, 1 Central, 2 Eastern, And 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. We do have other shows. We have this Date in History, we just watched. We have the Omni Coalition News Show, Weird, Odd, and Unusual Notable Events, Weather, and Sports, every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time. The Edge of Disclosure, which we are not going to be having today. I've been talking with Noah, but we will be getting off eventually. Which is UFOlogy, paranormal, conspiracy, science, technology, all that stuff show. Aiming to have that on Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific. The Omni Coalition Show, talk show about whatever, both planned and spontaneous, on Moon's Day at 3 p.m. And we have the Omni Kitchen, iNosh, and other shows and everything. Anyway, if you want to watch us live, if you're on the West, it's 11 and 3 all for thee. Mountain 12 and 4, watch us for more. Central 1 and 5 for the Contrive. And East 2 and 6 for your fix. For all of you and all of us, I am Xander.
King's Refuge.
Darth Hideous on the special guest end.
Yeah, and
Golden Loon.
yep, and of course, you viewer are you. Thank you so much for watching. Until you catch us again, whenever that is, wherever that is, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Until later, toodles.
Deuces.